So our goal is to be able to solve quadratic equations, okay? Now, let's look at what form this quadratic equation is right here. Now, the standard form is this: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Notice there's an x here and there's an x here, isn't there? Okay? Whenever it's in standard form, we use 4 different ways to solve it. But the thing is this one right here, x squared equals 9, it is not in standard form. What can I do to solve this one right here? It's very simple. I can take the square root of both sides. Now, if you watched the videos last night, you saw that the square root of 9 is not just 3. It's also negative 3. So in this case, x, what's up?
I feel stupider.
Stupider. Why is that? All right, on this one, what we need to do is we need to isolate the x squared. So in order for us to do that, we're going to add 27 on both sides. Okay, that's our first step. You can't divide by 3, you need to add 27 first. And when we do that, we get 3x squared equals 27. And now we need to get the x squared by itself, and the 3 right here is being multiplied by the x squared. So in order for us to get it by itself, we will divide 3 on both sides. And so I have x squared. Look at y'all getting your calculators. You don't need your calculators. X squared equals 9. 27 divided by 3 is 9. And so now, all I have to do is solve this. X squared equals 9. Well, we just did it in the last problem. Square root both sides. Now, why are we square rooting both sides? Because square root gets rid of squared. That's why we're doing it. So x equals 3, but the square root of 9 is not just 3, it is also... So x equals negative 3. So there are my 2 solutions. And here's what we're saying with those. We're saying if I plug 3 in for x right here and evaluate, it will equal 0. And we're saying if I plug negative 3 in for x right here, it will also equal 0. All right, on this one, what I do not... I had a student last period that said they thought we were supposed to add 1 to both sides. You cannot add 1 because it's inside the parentheses, right? So the first thing I need to do here is get rid of the squared. Say it.
Get rid of the squared.
And to do that, I'm going to square root both sides. And so I have x minus 1 equals the square root of 25 is 5. But the square root of 25 is not just 5. It's also... So I need to write a whole nother equation. X minus 1 equals negative 5. Like that. Right? And so now I need to solve each of these equations individually. Add 1 on both sides, and so x equals 6. Add 1 on both sides, and so x equals negative 4. And so those are your 2 solutions. And what we're saying is, if I plug 6 in for x right here, I'll get 25. And if I plug negative 4 in for x right here, I'll also get 25. That's why there's 2 solutions. Okay, so this problem's a little bit different. I've got this 4 out here that I need to get rid of before I can square root both sides. So what the 4 is being multiplied by the parentheses, and I cannot distribute the 4 because what's inside the parentheses is being squared. So any ideas how I could get rid of it? Divide 4 on both sides. Say it. So I have x minus 3 all squared equals 9 divided by 4, I think, is 2.25. Check in your calculator and be sure. And so now I'm trying to get rid of the squared. I'm trying to get rid of the squared. What is the opposite of squared? So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. And so I have x minus 3 equals, the square root of 2.25 is, it's 1.5. And then I have, but the square root of 2.25 is not just 1.5, it is also negative 1.5. So I need to write another equation. X minus 3 equals negative 1.5, right? And so now I will add 3 to both sides. Okay. And I get x equals 4.5. And I need to add 3 to both sides here. And I get x equals 1.5. Okay, so pause, write down the problem and work it, and then push play to see if you got it right. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do on this problem is add 13 on both sides because I'm trying to isolate the x squared. And so I have 4x squared equals 15 plus 13 is 28. Now I'm going to divide by 4 on both sides. And so I have x squared equals 7. Okay, I'm not quite done, but I'm getting close. Now what should I do? Square root both sides. Okay, so I have x equals whatever the square root of 7 is. And I also have x equals the negative of that, right? The negative whatever the square root of 7 is, don't I? Okay, so y'all type that in your calculator real quick. All right, so this rounds to x equals 2.65 and x equals negative 2.65. Now what I have written in blue here is called an approximation. Say approximation. Okay, an approximation means it's close, but it's not exact, right? If you give, Khan Academy would prefer you to put in what's in red here, which is the exact answers, right? So when you're reading, if they say they want the exact, then you put the square root. If they're saying they want an approximation, then you can get a decimal and just round it.